This is the Reflector Reflections podcast. My name is Annie. Join me as we journey around the world talking with fellow human design enthusiasts, specifically reflectors, as they experiment and navigate their unique design. Today's beautiful conversation is with Nadine. Nadine is a 4/6 reflector with the right angle cross of the Sphinx. She's the mirror, mentor, and muse within her business, Imagimo, which we're going to talk about later. Welcome, beautiful soul. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. And yeah, I'm excited to see what's coming out of us today, Annie. Yeah.
Now, I just want to also let people know that you're joining us from Greece, but you are German.
That's correct. By passport, I'm German.
Yes.
I claim myself to be cosmopolitan, but yeah, I'm based in Greece. To be specific, I'm based in Corfu, the island of Corfu, a very beautiful green island for anyone who wants to come and visit. Yeah.
I need to ask you about that later. But let's take our listeners on a little journey of you and hear about you and your journey with human design. So how did you find human design, or human design find you, Nadine? Take us back.
Human design found me. Human design definitely found me. And I can tell you it was 2 days in 2017, 2 days after my 33rd birthday. I was dying, metaphorically dying on my 33rd birthday. It was one of those identity and spiritually death, which I have experienced many in my life. And that was a really deep one because it was a drama between a man and a woman back then. And yeah, it really ripped me down on my knees. I didn't know even who I was, what happened. And then 2 days after, a projector acquaintance, she sent me, I remember it was on the Facebook Messenger, she sent me a small paragraph, what it means to be a 4/6 reflector. And Annie, I was reading it and I was crying nonstop for 2 or 3 hours. I've never felt seen so much in my life. And I thought, wow, it hit me. Yeah. And then slowly, I tried to digest what happened, and it ripped me a lot of my self-confidence, that happening, that drama point, that death. And yeah, then I think I was so busy still living my not self. As we all, especially manifesting, especially reflector, we are more manifesting generator than reflector in our not self, right? You probably know what I'm talking about. So I was busy living my my not self manifesting generator life, continuing and trying to be everything I'm not. In retrospective, obviously, I'm saying that today. And then in October 2017, it came back to me. So I didn't went into human design at that point. And then it came back to me because I got connected to one of my best friends still of today. She's a manifestor, 1/3, emotionally manifestor. And someone connected us in Germany. I was living in Munich in that time, and he was based in the States. Very interesting. He connected us and we hit off the ground immediately. And we are close friends, very close friends still. And she said, hey, in that first meeting, we were chatting and chatting. And she was saying, hey, have you ever heard about this human design? I said, hang on, human design, I heard this before. And she said, what are you? And I said, what am I? I'm this rare thing. I think only 1% have that. And this was kind of my initiation point. Literally, she initiated me back in studying, and then I really went into it. And I had my very first reading on the 29th of November in 2017 with Richard Beaumont for, I'm not kidding, 5 hours. He took time, 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. I'm beyond grateful still. Yeah, and now I'm here in my 7th year.
Wow, what a journey. And we're going to talk into that journey, friend, because I feel that you know, for those that have just found human design, it's just like, what is this? And, you know, you and I both know how that feels, doesn't it? It's just like, what is this? And sometimes we're met with this grief and sadness and happiness, and we feel so seen, but then we've got to kind of, this makes sense. Did you go back? Did you go back throughout that pre-33 years of your life and just go, oh shit, this makes so much sense? Talk to me about that journey, Nadine. Let's go there.
Totally. Yes, I went back, obviously. Just a side note. After that October meeting with my manifesto friend, I went into human design, but I have to say, until I said yes, I'm really going into experiments, it took me 2.5 years. So before I was a little bit tiptoeing, and I see that many people do that. Oh, I try a little bit, but I'm actually living still my old, as we call it, not self-life. And I've done the same thing until my mentor. She's still my mentor, and I wanna name her Nisak. You know her. So Richard Beaumont connected me with Nisak shortly after the reading, and since then I'm highly connected. And Nisak one day said to me, Nadine, do you do it or you don't? And she shared her story of, well, I did the same thing. She said at the beginning a little bit yes, but until I said yes, nothing really changed, and the same happened to me. So, but yeah, I was reflecting, to answer your question, I was reflecting a lot on my before 33 years, and many things make sense, especially for a 4/6 profile. Yeah, I can absolutely sign my below 30 years were experimenting, doing things, many mistakes. I understand this 3-line life. Yeah. For people who have a continuous 3-line in their profile, I really get it. And then what is really changing? And you know, we have, as a 6-line, we have these words, oh, from age 30 to 50, you're on the roof. What is it? What the hell does it really mean? So I'm now 41. And it took me really those 7 years, what it really means. And I mean, we can talk that a little bit and maybe I answer that later, but this reflection of, oh my God, it makes all so much sense. And why did I feel often so lonely, not fitting in, completely different? I always felt like an alien in this world. Everything made bam, 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 click, 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 click. It made so much sense and painful. It was painful to me. It was painful to me to say, oh my God, why did I do this? There was shame. And then there were moments of laughter where I said, oh, fuck, yeah, it just happened. So I went through all the emotional ups and downs. Yeah, the guilt, the shame, the drama, the laughter, the excitement, everything. Yeah. That was a long answer to your question.
No, that's a beautiful answer. Because I feel that that's exactly what it is. It's just not happiness or sadness. It's the shame. It's the guilt. It's the just, I don't know, just when you find yourself or when you meet yourself, I suppose. And human design, I think for a lot of us is we're meeting ourselves for the first time. We're really seeing, we're not fully seeing, but we're seeing into a part of ourselves. So it's like, wow, I got to go back. I got to go back and reclaim those parts. I was going to ask you when you said that you were on Corfu, I thought, do you know Nazar? Because I always wanted to get to one of her retreats and she's not doing them anymore. And I just haven't been able to get there because it's so far for me.
I know. I mean, we're literally sitting across the world almost. I think it must be more or less the most distance we can have on Earth, Greece and Australia, right? More or less, I think. Maybe not completely, but and yeah, Nisak's retreats are very special, and meeting her is very special because, I mean, after so many years. She really understood what it means to embody human design. And I mean, she's the most radiant, I think she's seven. I don't want to say something wrong, but 73 now, I believe she is. She's the most radiant 73-year-old woman I have ever met, probably. And that tells me something, to really see also the dynamics, how the world can pull us away from us, but always coming back. And that teaching of not doing more, but doing less, and really settling in that layer by layer, settling in that uniqueness we have, especially as reflectors. It's a different thing. And this is gold. And yeah, I can highly recommend anyone who's a reflector. I truly would even say, and I'm probably quoting Nisarg here, that if we haven't done a retreat between reflectors and just been surrounded with our own energy types, we don't know what it means to be a reflector. Truly. Of course, we have maybe a mental understanding and we kind of can tune into it, but we haven't felt it, and we haven't, honestly, we're sitting there in a reflector retreats in a circle, and you don't know, we don't talk, and you don't know what powerful creating. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps right now, just saying that, how powerful the auras get in creating space and power. It's everything and nothing at the same time. I don't have words. Yeah. It's beautiful.
I really love what you said there earlier about when you found human design, you found it, but then also not a lot of us really start to experiment for a while. And I think that's such a valid point to make, that until you're in, you're not in. You're still like one foot out the door. You're still like looking at the exit. You're still trying to make it up. But you can know human design for example, 6 years, as I have, but I've really only been experimenting for like full on for 4, actually, maybe even a little less. It wasn't until I started this podcast that I was all in. So that's been 3 years now. So maybe a little bit over, but I feel you, what you just said then. It's so accurate. You kind of dabble in it and you're still in your head a bit. But then you just go, no, I'm going to go in. I'm literally going to jump in that full body in. It's different. It's a different feeling.
It is a different feeling. Yeah, I think, as you said, it's so beautiful. It's about trusting the unknown and really, it's interesting because I had a vision, my first reflector retreat with Nisarg in 2018. We are lying on the pool because summer and Khufu, and we've been in our space, and I was lying on the pool, another obviously reflector next to me, and I kind of napped away. It was the most beautiful nap ever, because the tension of being this manifesting generator and being so much and doing so much, everything came down. The body started to allow to rest. And I had a vision, and it's a very strong vision. So I even woke up of this vision. Basically, I went to a cliff, and the cliff, below and around the cliff, it was everything white, like clouds. And I was running, and I was jumping into nowhere. So, and it was not scary. It was not dark. It was light. So I was jumping into fully trust. And yeah, I was running and jumping from the cliff and said, okay, let go. And this stayed with me so vividly. And I think this is exactly the vision that represents what we need to do, jumping into the unknown. And it's not the abyss. No, I knew I was held by clouds, by light. But yeah, I didn't know where to go. Yeah.
Just as you're saying that, I've never been on a reflector retreat. Again, I was saying there before, I've always wanted to go, and to the point I tried to pull out all stops to get there, but I just couldn't because it's so far away. And I've imagined to try and go, well, I live in this bottom of the planet area. Can I bring this here? But this podcast, sharing these moments with, people like yourself and others, I feel like that's what I've been getting in a small dose of what you must experience or have experienced at a full reflector retreat. It's just like the amount of healing, the amount of insight, the amount of space, just sitting and sharing and talking. It's been so profound. It's just been amazing. So anyway, I just had to share that. I'm sorry, because I feel like that's just, it never ceases to amaze me how amazing it is to be in aura.
Yeah. And don't be sorry about this, because you use what you sense is between a screen, and this is possible, for every reflector out there who's listening. And I know you have many listeners, which is amazing. Nisag is doing online mini retreats, and I think you've been there on one at least. You must have seen you where we sit in space, and there you can, even through a screen, it does work. The hours are talking. It's not the full in body face to face in aura experience, but you feel and sense a difference. So my question to you would be, I mean, you're talking also to non-reflectors on your podcast, right?
Sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, which is fine. But what difference do you notice in being with a reflector and not? Have you noticed any?
I have noticed, and not all, but there's generally no real ulterior motive with being, you might kind of, the other reflector or who I'm sitting in space with, they might think they know what's going to happen, but we always just lose track of time. We become very immersed and together and just going back and forth. The other types, it's still like they're still sort of not present. I'm not explaining this very well, but reflector to reflector, we can sometimes lose all track of time, space, and what's happening around us, because we're in each other's energy and it feels safe. But so often when I'm with the other types, it can feel that we've still got an agenda, and the agenda is, okay, we've got a time frame. Here we go. You know what I mean? It's sorry, I don't know if that makes sense, but that it feels very different. There isn't an agenda.
Totally. I totally feel you. It's exactly like this.
Yeah.
There is no, a reflector doesn't want anything from me. No agenda. It's perfectly how you describe it. Exactly the words I would use. There's no wanting, no pulling, no, And as you say, the presence is different, unless it's a reflector who's very much not yet on the journey. I notice totally the difference as well. When a reflector is too off. I mean, none of us ever, I think no one on earth is living really, really, really true to themselves. We all somehow still conditioned and in our not self from time to time, which is also okay. We don't need to demonize the not self. We just not need to notice, when I'm in and not, and who's bringing me in and who not, and having fun with the dynamic as well, right? And just being, and at the end, it's all about awareness. Becoming aware of what is happening and how we can actually sometimes be able to navigate a relationship or a situation, and sometimes we can't. We just get hooked in and say, hey, it is what it is. Especially as a reflector.
I love that too, because it's often perceived that, we get into this, we start our deconditioning journey. We've then got to bypass, we've got to decondition. It's all, the deconditioning, the deconditioning, the deconditioning. It's like it never stops, it never ends. And we find I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes you think, I got it. It's the mind. I got it. I think I got this thing now. I know how this works. I'm onto me. And then all of a sudden a not self theme just plays out and you're like, no, this is a lifelong process, Annie. You don't just get it. It's a lifelong process. And I've been able to relax into that now and just go, I have to be in the world. I have to make mistakes. I have to be here. I have to feel this. I have to act it out. But then when I know more, I can do better. You know, I don't know. How does that feel for you? You know, we're turning into this not self.
Yeah, I agree what you say. I can sign that. And it's, I mean, life is about experiences. And I'm in my, staying with human design, I'm in my 7th year. And, you know, it said the cells renew every 7 years. That's why the one deconditioning phase is 7 years. Because, again, it's about not staying in the mind and having a mental impression and knowing it's about the wisdom that settles in the cells. And I can feel there's a shift happening with this 7-year-ish time frame. I have the feeling it's now anchoring. Yeah? Not that it's over. I'm not totally agreeing what you say. It's a lifelong process, but there seems to be a level of, there's a shift happening and something is anchoring in my cells, and it's all about cell memory. And maybe my body 6th line is talking here right now. It's something very special with the 6th line body, which I'm still trying to figure out, you know. But yeah, going to a cellular level memory and shift, as I said, I'm just repeating myself, but there's something to it. And I'm contemplating it more about it, and I don't fully have words to it. But I think this is all about, it's about awareness, and awareness just increases and grows. And again, I think this is all about, because as you say, the more awareness we have, the better decisions we can make. We have choices available. And yeah, so I can decide now, do I want to go into my old pattern and behavior, or do I want to choose a different way because I know there is a different way? Yeah? I can decide to be a dickhead if I want to. Yeah? I can decide to be mean if I want to, but do I really want to? Do I want to go into other people's stuff and dramas, or do I say, hey, this is none of my business, or do I want to, from what intention, from what level of consciousness do I want to respond? Yeah, and make a choice.
Beautifully said. Your journey over the duration of human design, we were just sharing there before, you know, this anchoring. I love the word anchoring. How have you navigated those years? Like, I'll just give it a very brief example for me. I found my 1st and 2nd year, I thought I knew it all. And then I realized by about the 3rd, you know, this coming into it, I knew nothing, absolutely nothing. And it was really humbling. If anything, it really knocked my confidence, just how little I knew. And I kind of feel that each of the years that we're in this, it sort of like, you know, steps on each other. How's that journey been for you over the 7 years? Can you share with us that? How did you process this?
It's a very nice question. Thank you. And I have to say it's a similar experience like you have. The first 2.5 years before I really said yes to, okay, let's try that. And let's try this experiment, making decisions, most important decisions, especially, and leaving yourself at least a month. Before this 2.5 years, I haven't done it all the time. And I fall flat on my face. Anyway, so yeah, I have to say the first 2.5, 3 years, even for me, were very mental. I wanted to know, and I went, oh, this, and I have to read, and I studied a little bit more. I have to say my human design studying journey stopped going so much into the papers and in the books, and really transformed over the years into, hey, if my body calls me to read up this gate, for example, just before our session, I listened to a podcast of a dear friend of mine. She talked about gate 24 beautifully. I have the 61 twice, I think. So it's the opposite. And it was very interesting to listen to her perspective. So sometimes I'm opening a document and say, hey, now I'm really called to read that gate, that circuitry, that dynamic, whatever. And then I do it, but I'm not a studying person. I feel like it's overwhelming to me. It might be totally different experience to someone else, like you have 5-1, you have the first line. It might be totally different. Yeah. Yeah, I want to do it when I feel called to, and otherwise I'm observing all the time. So yeah, the first couple of years were quite into studying mental health and yada yada yada, and then I even tracked the moon from the pretty much. When did I started to track the moon? Must be also around this time, 2-3 years in the experiment, and then I did it for 3 years in a row. And then over the past 1.5 years, I'm not interested in tracking the moon all the time. I said, okay, what's the point? I either feel it or I don't feel it. If I'm find weird and I can't explain what I'm feeling, I'm looking up the transits. So most of the days I'm looking up, okay, what's going on? What's the weather in the air? But sometimes I often don't. And I just want to observe and feel what's going on around there. What I'm really noticing by now is when it's a reflector day. Reflector days feel so different and special, and I feel it in the atmosphere. The atmosphere is different, the whole air. And I feel it in how people behaving and reacting. And I don't know about you, but reflector days are so soft. They're so gentle, so soft. They're like, I don't know, melting. I don't know, they feel like flowers and melting honey in your mouth. I don't know how to describe it. They're really, wow, there's no time and space. It's like, oh, everything is calming down, no rush. So that's happening when reflector days are on. But yeah, I think I can agree on the point. At the beginning, I thought, oh, I'm understanding this now, and I understand this. I understand my strategy, and this, and I really get it, and this is how it works. And then I noticed, as you did, I bloody don't know anything, and I don't want to know anything. I just want to give myself into it. And over the years, I can tell you the deconditioning of my not self manifesting generator. When I listened to Richard Beaumont's, my very first reading, to Richard Beaumont's reading, which lasted 5 hours, and it's an audio and video recording. And if I'm listening today, I'm having so much pain in my body, because I can't believe that was me. I was talking too fast. I was over talking him. I had so many questions. Open head, gate 3, 63, 3 times as well, you know. And then I was impatient, really painful, Annie. It's difficult to listen to this. And but now if I do listen, I know how far I came today. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like a different person.
Yeah, it's an incredible journey. And as I was saying before, sometimes you just get to this and you're like, oh, I'm quieter now. And then something else changes and you're starting to talk over the top of people. Well, I could speak for myself. I noticed in the last couple of days, I've been really chatty again. And I'm like, where did that come from? So I love what you said there about it's very interesting to observe ourselves. I really enjoy it. I've been so throughout my life, being so detached from myself that now it's just like, oh, I really enjoy observing what's happening around me and to me. It's fascinating. It's like, I love it. It's like I'm my own research experiment. Here's my line 1. It's just like instead of going outward, I'm like going inward of going, oh, I can research myself. Beautiful.
That's super beautiful. And I think that's an important perspective. I can research myself for first line to find that security. And this is all about, this is really brilliant, because to find that security inside oneself, yeah, that insecure body, the first line body, it only can find the security inside, and the researching inside, I think beautifully. I haven't even thought about it before, so thank you.
Gotta lay my own foundation, don't I?
Yeah. Yeah.
And speaking of profile lines, I
Mhm.
have so many questions, but it's just like,
Oh.
I don't know about you, but sometimes I have all of these questions. This is the completely open. You haven't seen my chart. I'll share it with you. Completely open head center. I think all the things. And then it's just like, oh, it's gone. And it's just like, just let it go. It's okay. But speaking of profiles, that 4-6, how's that felt for you in your journey?
I mean, all the profiles are special, yeah, but especially special with the 4-6. It's interesting because I always thought I'm here for the other. So with two transpersonal lines, I think I'm very outward for the others, but I'm actually a personal profile. So it took me a while to understand this life is not meant just for the other, it's meant for me. And that realization took a while. And yeah, again, knowledge starts in the head and then it sinks in. What does it really mean? I think I noticed the difference now when I used to be codependent with others, because I was relying on them. I also have a completely open heart center, so my self-worth is, well, I don't even know what that really means. I don't have a reference point with a completely open ego, what self-worth really is. I'm just trying to conceptualize it. Anyway, but yeah, I'm noticing it's about me. It's about my expression. It's about what I want to do. And it's not always easy because it's so much outwardly for the whole. And I don't want it to just be my life about me, So I'm in kind of, well, the 4-6 is between the chair. Yeah, it is in the middle of a transpersonal and personal profiles. And it's exactly how it often feels. And the experience is that there are two hearts inside of me, as with many profile lines, because the 4 and the 6, they're not in harmony. I'm outward going, but I love to be alone. And very much I love to be alone. I'm very self-sufficient. I don't need to be surrounded every single time by someone. In fact, it's too much often. And allowing these two poles inside of me and having peace and a peaceful experience and finding that harmony. And okay, when it's really when it's my 4th line personality saying, hey, let's go out and meet and mingle, I really want to connect and I really want to talk and so on, and my body really says, my 6th line body says, don't you dare to move. And when we say the body takes the lead, I let lead my body so much more. So before, especially, before human design, before a couple of years ago, it was really, I get into my socializing, oh, you might missing out. And now I know I have the joy of missing out. I don't have FOMO, I have JOMO.
Yeah.
And it feels so good every single time when I allow my body to say, hey, buddy, do you really want to go out? I know it's such a nice party, such a nice concert. It's this and that. But the body says, I'm completely exhausted. I give myself into it and I never regret it, because I hear, for example, the party was this and that, this and happening, it wasn't that great. And I never feel I miss out, interestingly enough. I am so much self-satisfied when I trust my body. So this is a huge experience. And as a 6-time body, and now again, I'm 41, I'm on the roof. And just when I turned 40 last year, I started to get a glimpse of understanding what it means to be in my body. The 6-time body, it takes a while to land into that body. So I've been basically out of my body for most of my life so far. And really getting into the juice, what is it? It's almost like I always look from up down into my, okay, I'm in here, but what is that thing? What do I do with it? It's the best way I can describe it, the most simple way. And now I'm getting into the body slowly. Again, I'm just scratching the surface. And I'm like, oh, wow, that feels pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. Ask me more questions around that if you want.
Yeah, I know for a lot of 4/6s when they're first starting, or fourth lines in general, it's the words, the keynotes, the networker, this is a networking thing. And suddenly they feel a little bit, again, just using your word, ejected out, that they've got, I've got to go and network now. I've got to go and find a community. And one thing that I've found, and I'd love to hear this from you, is it's what community or what people in your network feel good for you, opposed to just being around random people. It's a very select group of individuals. Have you found that?
Absolutely. Yeah. The fourth line, I really also never really connected. I mean, obviously, you know what's a network, but really connecting, what does it mean for me? What does network really mean for me? And as you say, absolutely, there is a handful of people that I truly trust. The fourth line is all about trust, and that I truly trust by now to be myself as much as that's possible with their interactions, with their electromagnetics. And then there is this wider acquaintances network. You can even go as far as social media, but also people in my life. And to really, I mean, we are all about closeness and trust and intimacy, I guess, as a 4-line, and it's easily broken. However, I don't know, the topic of betrayal just comes in mind. I think before I knew what that means, I felt often very much betrayed, and I let myself betray. Huh? So it's both sides. And I really cut it. The more I went into my human design experience, the more I cut it completely, my network, because I noticed this is based on the not self speaking terminology, on the not self expression of mine. So they don't even know who I am, because I didn't know who I am, and I didn't even show it myself. So I cut loose completely, and I did in human design, is that a mistake? I don't believe it's a mistake per se, but a fourth line shouldn't, it said a fourth line shouldn't cut loose before nothing else is lined up. It could be relationship, jobs, friendships, and so on. And I have to say there is truth to it, because every single time I cut loose, again, my job, my friends, my network, I fell into a deep hole of being alone. And it took me a while to get myself out and find new ground in network and finding that new places. So there's something to it. Yeah, but I completely cleaned up. There's no many, maybe one from my previous quote unquote life that's still my life, but not as close anymore, maybe further away. That's very interesting. And I had to spend a lot of time by myself because I wanted to, and I had to spend a lot of time by myself on my knees, on the floor, and I mean it literally, and crying everything out, because I had to shift and get rid of all the things I'm not. So I spend a lot of time by myself to find out, is this really mine? Is this someone else's conditioning? To really get as much layers of me, patterns of me that I noticed I took on, but it was always the other. And yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm saying I died a lot in my life, literally. And it was necessary. And now I can build and see the difference between the relationships. On which foundation are they, as you say, which foundation are they built? From what energy do they come? And I notice when who do I, and this is a question of a reflector, who am I with you? And if I notice I'm tensing up, I'm like, I'm holding back, and it doesn't quite feel easy. Easy is maybe not the right word, but comfortable eventually. Yeah. I notice this might not be the person for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's something also wrong with that, not wrong, inauthentic with that person. We smell inauthenticity miles away, right?
Yep. Yeah. And I feel you there too, because when we're around individuals, and I've kind of likened it to, I feel like I've got to snuff myself. I've got to go, oh, shh, don't say that. Don't be too happy. Don't be too this. Don't be too anything. And you're kind of shoving it all down. That's when you know that it's not in alignment. Whereas when you can just let your freak flag fly, and just go, wow. In a way, it's just like you can let the light out, like you can shine. I love what you said there, because I have felt that so many times where you're like, mm, mm, constantly. Yeah.
Yeah, beautifully said, and reflected back to me, because there's tension, right? I think tension is the word, probably. Because their inauthenticity don't allow me to be my authentic self.
Yeah.
Is that, I guess that's the mirror effect we are experiencing there. We are sampling, and it is like, so it must be that inside of them. This is how I feel. And this is why, okay, I go, maybe it's not my person. Yeah.
I knew this was going to happen. It seems to happen every time. I was just about to ask you a question, and then it's gone.
That's okay.
It's constant. It's just like, oh, well, you can fight against it, or you can just kind of like surrender and just go, it'll come back if it's supposed to come back.
Maybe we just should bath in our own energy and just shut up. That's exactly what it means.
Love just shutting up. Oh, feels so good. Yeah. Silent retreats, I really enjoy them, because I can just not have to speak. That throat pressure, that open throat, to always feel like it's got to say something. And you'll find, I don't know about you, but if you're around people and you're comfortable with just sort of sitting there, but they're not, they have to keep talking. It's like, just shut up.
Oh yeah, totally get what you're saying. Totally get. I'm also a little bit more chatty as usual, because my throat and my chi center are activated since a while now.
No.
We'll continue a little bit longer, and then I notice, okay, yeah, I can talk, but it still exhausts me after a while. So, but I would say I'm usually more quiet than I'm, for example, today. Interesting, huh?
It is. And those nodes, they're there for a while. I finally had a bit of a reprieve from the sacral being defined for a long time, and now it's my heart and my will center. And I think that's probably why I've got more to say, because it's like, I will say that. It's like, ooh. That's the beautiful thing about, tracking, in a way, the transits. Just getting back to what you were saying there before, I'm the same. I generally now, I don't track. I don't sit there and do it, because it's like a full-time job. But everyone still asks, how do you do it? And I'm like, you know what? This is how I did it. I'll share it. It's fun. It's different. I've got a lot of third lines in my chart. So, you know, I played with it. And I think that's what people, reflectors, should do. I think it's a fun experiment to have. But I found with the transit tracking, when I was tracking, it was all a heady thing because I was then anticipating what was going to come, opposed to feeling the changes. So I'm just going back to what you were saying there before, that's been my experience too, of just going, I'm just wanting to experience life. I don't need to get all caught up in it anymore. It's just, I just want to experience it and notice without pre-thinking about it. You know, oh, we've got this trend that's coming up soon. And it's just like, so what? So what? I feel fine. Whereas, you know,
Exactly.
yesterday.
Sorry, I interrupted. Yeah,
No.
finish your point.
No, that's it.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. And I mean, I wanted to ask you a question, but just a comment on your words is really, it is about experience in life. And I think I don't know about you, but overwhelm is a huge topic in my life. I feel overwhelmed with many things. I'm also a single woman, and I notice when I reflect on other people's lives, and obviously most people in my environment are not reflectors, and I do not have energy available all the time, and I do not have much energy available all the time. And I'm not sure if that's recorded, but before we started on recording, we just said it is one of the days, or you had one of the days, you just want to sit there and stare into nothingness and maybe observe what's going on in the garden outside, right? And again, this is most of my days. And this is being a reflector, just sitting there observing and being. We are human beings overall and not human doings. And the topic of overwhelm, it's everywhere in our world. Everyone is overwhelmed. We're too stressed out. And especially for a reflector, allowing myself to understand, yes, I'm overwhelmed with I don't know, doing my household. I have to take care of myself, meaning I have to earn money. If I look just rational on my chart, I would have 5 days a month where I actually are eventually able to work because I have a sacral defined. I mean, who can live really from that, right? And I have animals. I need to run the errands. I have friends, you know, I need to do this and this. There's something in the house to do, and you know, and this goes on. I have no children, and for me, I believe it's a good thing at the moment. It probably maybe never happens. But yeah, I think it's everything. I think my whole comment is everything that's mentally related, and I have to go into it, that can cause me more questions, more overwhelm. I don't want it in my life anymore. I think I'm in this phase to again rearrange my life to what is really enjoyable for me, what makes a difference in my life, what makes me feel good eventually, and everything that is just more and more mental, decreasing my capacity to experience life, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah. And I feel that more and more, you know, and especially as women traversing our 40s and getting, you know, later 50s and 60s, like it's just a shift. It's a shift, not just being a reflector, it's a shift in being a person, a woman, and how we change. And having all those external pulls. Like I have 5 million children. I don't, I have 4. But
Yeah,
I have 4 children and 1 grandchild.
wow.
I feel that my incarnation cross is a cross of distraction. And it's literally, I am pulled always in so many different ways, Nadine. It's so often when I can sit there and just stare and stop, it feels so good. And I want more of it. Sometimes I just think, I don't want to parent today. I just want to stare at the sky. But in that moment, I also then have to take, me personally, I just go, well, this is the choice. I need to be around people. The reflector, transpersonal, 5-1. I also need people in my life because of how that works in the mechanics of, I need to wait for the lower trigram so that I can action it. So it's like, this all makes sense, because when I'm on my own for too long, I can't do anything. It's literally a paralysis. So I need the other. The upper trigram needs the other. So I kind of just go, oh, well, this is how it is. And so I've decided a couple of years ago just to take my crew with me. And it's just like, well, I can't change it. I can't change my life. I can't have all this time to myself and experiment all on my own all the time. But I can take you along the ride with me. And so instead of being driven by the manifesting generators or the generators, just like, I'm going to show you what it's like. Well, what Annie's about, or what Annie wants. And that just feels really nice these days. They're learning from me as much as I'm learning from them.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question around your family constellation? Okay, cool. So how old are you now, Annie? I don't know.
48.
You're 48. And I mean, hand on heart, this is a question. It's not an easy question, yeah, but if you could choose again, would you have 4 children? And knowing who you are and experience yourself, your energy level, what you have today?
That's a very hard choice. That's a very hard thing to answer. Yes. Yeah, I would, because it's there's some days I would say no. I would love to be not selfish. I say this lovingly, but I'd love for the world to be all about myself, just because over this last period of time, getting to know me, as I was saying before, I like me. I love me. And I'm worth getting to know. And I haven't been given enough time in my life to date to do that, because I've been too busy looking after everyone else. However, if I did that and I didn't have children, I would have been bored. I would have been bored. So, no, I like it. And I've had children through 2 different eras. So, I've got older children and I've got younger children. So I'm very tired, but I would never not do it. I would always do it the way it has been. Yeah. Sorry, that's a long-winded way of saying, yes, it's tough, but it's beautiful. And it's just, it's my purpose. It's, the gift of human design is when you really dig into your chart and you can see all these things. You can see all of these nurturing gates that I have, all of this mother energy that I have. It's just like, okay, we're stepping into who we're supposed to be, so yeah.
I love that explanation. Thank you. And because it is an interesting topic, especially being a parent or not for reflectors, right? And I hear you when you say, when you're too long by yourself, you feel paralyzed. I know what you mean, and sometimes I know how to handle it for myself, and I really give into that spaciousness and doing nothing. Because that's also my moments where insights drop and the really true creativity can come through. It doesn't mean I have the energy to implement it. That's my problem, And then I would notice, maybe sometimes, I mean, I can choose who I meet, and it's not that I don't have people around, but what would it be if I would give myself even more into this and surround myself more people. So it's always an experiment of not exhausting myself, but I'm challenged by, I have so many ideas and the creativity comes through, but how to get it out of me? Yeah. How to implement that. And the older I get, the more I'm into that experiment, I notice there's a divine timing of everything. And especially having gate 11 as well twice, there's not every idea is meant for me. And it's interesting. I don't know why I come to this topic, but it's coming out right now. But it's about planting seeds. And I noticed that I go often in the unconsciousness field, and I'm planting seeds just by having the ideas and having the thoughts. So maybe this is also a part of that. It means I'm not here to birth everything, obviously. And birthing, coming back to children, I always wanted to have children. And then there was a time in my life, I was 36, and I was living in Munich back then still. And again, it was one of those moments where transformation happened, and I've been on my knees and crying, and single woman. And I was talking to Source, talking to God, Source, whatever you want to call it. I called it Source. And I was like, okay, if you want me to have children in this life, I give that to you. It's happening or it's not happening. And now that was 2036. So basically 5 years ago. And now I notice maybe I'm not meant for having my own children birthing, because I'm birthing ideas, I'm birthing paintings, I'm birthing so many little small seeds. They might not even all grow up, my children are my projects I'm working on. Even to a certain extent, it sounds odd, but to a certain extent, my clients are my children, because I kind of guide them on the way, but I just don't have them all the time around me. That's perfect. And I'm experimenting with pets, and not experiment, I have pets around me. And this is kind of part of my motherhood. Because they feel like children, and it's nurturing a being. It doesn't always have to be a human being, right? And I noticed for human children, this is why I asked you the question. I'm not sure if I would have the energy, I knew that I would be kind of a good mother, but I can't. I would need a very, 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 very strong support system, partner, community around me, that I can say, no, not today. I'm not able, I can't mother, as you say, I can't mother today. So yeah, I'm in this in between of, okay, how would motherhood for a human being be with me or for me? Yeah. I was rambling on.
No, because that's beautiful. It's and I work in this space with women through this journey of parenthood, and it's so true what you said. It's just the aspects of being a mother and a nurturer are not always a physical manifestation of having and birthing children, physical babies. As you say, it's the clients that you have, it's the planting of the seeds. I love that. Just people being in your frequency, you're impregnating them. Oh, that sounds terrible, but you're impregnating them with new frequencies, with new ideas, with new dreams and desires. And that's what it's about. I love that. Yeah.
And maybe that's really the redefining motherhood in itself. And you brought up a topic of woman in this life, in this world, because if it's we women, we thought we wanted to be superwoman. We want to be equal like men. We want to be successful in the career. We want to have X amount of children. We want to be beautiful looking. We want to be hotties. We want to be out there. We want to be social. We want to be this and this and that. And we want to be a good mother. And I work with a lot of women, and I don't know if you know, but I do a lot of leadership coachings. official leadership coachings, people with titles, and unofficially. And many women in leadership, especially leadership roles, they're so struggling. They're so struggling. They feel guilty because they can't be 100% a good mother because they're working, and they can't be 100% giving everything in their career, and they can't giving everything to themselves. Yeah. So it's a huge, that's why I'm also mentioning overwhelm, and there's a huge amount of guilt, especially in us women. And I think it's a huge topic for maybe another time, but we are allowed as women to re-identify, reimagine what it means to be a woman and what it means to be a mother. And we also need to allow ourselves to say, hey, I'm not superwoman, and I can't do everything I thought I can, and I'm not equal to a man. Maybe admit that finally, and really go back to our natural cycles, the natural rhythms of life that is giving, especially to us women, and the wisdom behind them.
A fucking man. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
This is again a future discussion, but this is the journey of matrescence, which is the mother journey of that. There's a splitting. The woman reaches a point where she's possibly been quite a successful business person, and she's got it. And when she becomes a mother, she's going to do this. But society doesn't support women. Society doesn't support women to still be themselves, because the society expects them to still do, perform like a man, bring home as much money as a male, as well as parent, as well as mum, as well as breastfeed, do all these things. And it's just unattainable. And so the shattering of self comes out. Anyway, I could have a whole podcast on matrescence because it's near and dear to my heart. But I feel everything that you said then. And I'm glad that people have you in their corner helping them, because we need each other to shift this, shift society's viewpoint of women having to do it all, or women wanting to go and be successful business women, and the partner, whether that's a male or a female, taking over. What's wrong with that?
Exactly. And that is really a question of what does success really mean to us. And I think this is a whole shift of a whole era, not just when 2027 comes, but it's related to that. What does success really mean to us individually? And everyone should sit with that question. Yeah, I've been sitting with that question. And it can mean, I just want to be home with my children. And you know how many women who have successful jobs say, I want to spend with my child because I know it's young now. It's a baby, or it's a small child up to 2-3 years. I know this part of age is growing too fast, and I don't want to miss it. But at the same time, I'm afraid of not getting back into my career again. And again, we're coming to the point, society and companies are not supporting mothers. Yes, they kind of claim, you can have come back after taking your what is it called, the months after giving birth. What's the term?
Maternity leave.
Thank you. Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Maternity leave. And but now when they're coming back, companies are not giving flexible times. So you can't have a good half-time job in supporting what you say you support as a company. They say, yeah, we support you, but you don't even give flexible time. You make it very hard for a mother. But anyway, I think it's a huge topic, and I would love to talk about it more, and I would love to raise more awareness, and because moms are struggling, and it's painful. It's super painful. So I hear you, and it would be good if mothers would speak out. not just me who's
And
witness of that.
well, we're seeing it because the population is declining, and yes, we've got a lot of humans on this planet, but if it continues to go this way, our population's just going to, and I mean, that's another, going forward with the prophecies or things like that after 2027 of things like that, of, the shift in things, and who knows. But I've found just, I know we've been going for a while, so I'll start to wrap us up, but just in that moment of, I've been feeling it myself of just, there's a part of me that's always had this desire to sort of show up or not necessarily be successful. I feel like I've done that in my, like you, in my manifesting generator era, but also still, have a successful business or, make sure that I'm, meeting these quotas. But I'm finding in the last 18 months, especially this last year, more so, I'm just happy being. And I know that doesn't pay the bills, but I just feel this detachment from a lot of things. And that could be that, 5 or 6 years into my experiment, but the detachment's coming in hard and fast where I don't worry about things anymore. Did that happen for you?
Totally. And what you just share is exactly my vision of jumping off the cliff that I had. This is exactly that. It's the detachment and not worrying and giving into the mind's experiences and the stories we create, but into the, hey, I just want to be. And I notice with myself, the more I allow myself just to be and worry less, life is taking care of me. And it's for every one of us. It's not just for reflectors. We can answer that by mechanically if we trust our authority and strategy. There is certainly something to it. And it's not for me to say, it's not for me to claim, it's for everyone to experience it or not. But yeah, staying with reflectors, especially us just trusting in life. That's exactly what you're saying, what I'm hearing you saying. Trusting in life and just, hey, into that beingness and that observation mode. And just because this is our only job, being present, Annie. Our presence is our only job. And then
that's so hard.
Yeah. And it's not, yes, it's not paying the bills, but I want to say it's not paying the bills yet. So I truly also believe that the time for reflectors and projectors are coming. And the thing is, we can't put ourselves into the position where we belong, where we are best suited. The energy types have to do it. Yeah. So the only thing we can do is being as we are and going to the trusting and also stay practical and saying, okay, what can I do to sustain my life? Because we can't live on love and light yet.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, and trying to surround ourselves with the right people or attract the right people is a better way to say, right? That see the gifts in us and are willingly to support.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. That just feels really beautiful. Tell this little community of ours a little bit more about you, how they can contact you, Nadine, if you would like to be contacted, that is. and
Don't contact me at all.
Yeah, don't contact me.
No, of course. I'm able to be contacted. You can find me on Instagram at Imagimo. You probably put it in the notes so everyone knows how to spell it. You can contact me by email on my website. It's www.imagimo.me. It's gonna undergoing a reshaping and reforming of my website, and it's a project in itself that takes on years, so bear with me. But yeah, there's a contact form, so reach out. I truly believe someone who wants to find me will find me. And yeah, I'm there. I'm also on Facebook, not so much, but it's my name, Nadine Blochberger. If someone prefers Facebook as a platform, yeah, I'm not staying there so much, but yeah, I'm there to be able to find. And LinkedIn, if someone wants to approach me through LinkedIn, again, Nadine Blochberger on LinkedIn, easy to find. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. I was just listening to you say about, my website's going through an adjustment. And I'm like, mine goes through one every couple of years. That's pretty standard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like evolving 3.0, 2.0, 4.0, 6.0. I love it.
It's for me, it's an up leveling. It's not
Yeah.
a total change. It's an up leveling. It's redefining, as you say it. And you know, a website is a website. It's very static. So once I've written it, it's already done. You know, and I could write the next one. So, but yeah, it's about energy. You know, I don't find the right energy, and I notice. Yes, I have all this information, and I'm trying to sort and simplify it and putting it all together. And I'm just waiting for the moment that I drop and it wants to be written and it's writing itself. And in the meantime, I'm waiting. I mean, the gift of waiting and waiting and waiting. And I noticed if something is not coming out of me, it is not the right time.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I'm missing an information piece. Maybe the energy out there, the weather is not right. I don't know, but I know it's not the right timing. Maybe I wouldn't be heard when talking. I trust the wait.
I found that too. If I have to force something, it's not right. And it might get out the door, but it doesn't land. And I've had a few projects where it just, no, I wanted to do it. And it's just like, no, no. And then suddenly it'll be like, do it. Just okay. And it's just like, okay. And that feels right then. It's like the energy's freed up and it's allowed me to move in that way. Ah, life. It's
Life, exactly.
it's
Can I ask you the last question?
yes, of course.
So what is the one advice you would give a reflector, knowing what you know and experience what you experienced today?
Oh, it all comes down to just slow down. It's just slow down. And I know that doesn't make any sense because people are like, I don't know how to slow down. But it's just like invest in you, like find who you are, go all the way back, go back to your birth. How were you born? How did you start? What was your birth like? Because it all matters. It's all like bringing these parts back, and all those parts of us we've had to give away, not directly but indirectly, because of the program and how it works and how we're everybody and everything. But there's always this part of us that's there. So I just say, slow down, go back. That's it. Just be. But you got to find you. That's a big thing. It's really hard for people to get. It was hard for me to get. It just took time. You got to find you and where you are, like where your edges end and where others begin. Because until you find that, you're awash all the time with everybody else. That's just, yeah. What about you? What's your answer to that?
Yeah, I mean, I like what you said. Just quick comment. I think to distinguish what you're saying, because by human design, the reflector question is who I am with you. So it's not about finding ourselves. This is a generator question, and this is exactly what you're saying, there is us, and it's about finding that pattern, that monthly pattern, who we are with others and what is truly us. And this is what's about. I think this is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And this is important, yes. And how would I answer that question? Let me think. It's more like an add-on, what you just said. So yeah, slowing down and finding that what is mine and what is not mine. Yes, totally. I would put on top. What would I put on top? Not measuring myself with the others and really trying to understand that this world is not really made for us. We are in it. And really allowing to sometimes going against the grain. And what I mean by that is, for example, the marketing world, the business world. Well, it's 99% not for us, or 90% not for us. And really carve out that unique path and really allowing to slow down even more than everyone else. The whole world needs to slow down, as you say, but for us to slow down even more, and even everyone is running around and it's shattering so much and it's overwhelming, but really being that own bubble and space, and just doing us and knowing this is okay. Yeah. And I would seek contact to other reflectors.
Yeah.
Just to have exchange.
To feel into it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would give myself enough space all the time to retreat. Retreat as much as I can from the other energy. Yeah. Sleeping alone, being for days or weeks by myself, no energy around. So this is it.
Can I move in with you? You're like, that sounds
Yes.
nice. Come in a coffee.
I'm leaving by myself, and I have a cat. But yeah, you can visit me definitely.
Oh, Nadine, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sitting in space with me. Thank you for we got here in the end, didn't we? We just both were a bit tired last week. But we're here now. We're still a bit tired, but we're, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. And
you're welcome. And thank you for having me and allowing me to ramble on here. Whatever wanted to come out between us. And I loved how this is another beauty, how we allowed ourselves. Last week we wanted to do this podcast, and then I said, hey, I'm not feeling it. And you said, actually, I'm also not feeling it. And how we were so true to ourselves and said, so what? Yes, we wanted to do it, but life had a different experience for us, and we allowed ourselves to just not having the energy to meet and just getting something done because for our mindset we wanted to get it done. Isn't that amazing?
yeah. I never, I don't know. It's a part of this journey that it never ever bothers me when someone says, I just am not feeling well. I'm on my, moon time or whatever it is. It's like, absolutely, I understand. I just think just flow, because it always happens when it's supposed to happen. And the conversation always flows as how it's supposed to flow. I love it. That's trust, that's trust.
And this is how the world should operate in its whole.
Yeah.
Oh, the world would be so beautiful, Annie, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I know. We can imagine it. We can imagine it now. We'll build it. What's that movie? If you build it, they will come. If you build
Let's
it, they will.
co-create it. Yeah.
All right. You have a beautiful day.
And
Thank you
and I,
again. Talk again soon.
Fabulous.
Thank you. Mwah. You take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.